With Halloween fast approaching, if you've got kids, we're pretty sure they'll want to go trick-or-treating. In fact, scratch that. We're sure they'll want to go trick-or-treating, and if they're gamers, then they might want to go as some of their favorite characters. Luckily, there are thousands of characters in the video game world, and we're going to show you some of the best video game costumes for kids. But before we get into some of the best video game costume for kids, subscribe to TheGamer and ring that bell to join our spooky gang, so you never miss any of our spooky Halloween videos. Without further ado, let's get started. Hello Neighbor. With Halloween coming up, what could be more appropriate than one of our favorite scary games of recent years? If you're looking for something which has gone viral, then there's no better example for our money than Hello Neighbor. This game started off on PC and Xbox One in late 2017 and was ported to the PlayStation, iOS, and Android in the middle of 2018. Sure enough, the game got people talking. If you haven't played it, then the premise is pretty simple. You play as a boy who breaks into his creepy neighbor's house and is shocked by what he finds. Once he's grown up, he comes back to his old home, only to find his neighbor's home is larger, weirder, and scarier than ever before. The goal of the game is a kind of survival horror thing, because you really don't want to let him know you're in his property. Anyway, if your kid likes the spookier side of Halloween and is a gamer, the chances are they're into Hello Neighbor, and there's a very good chance they'll like this next costume. Yes, it's the title character from the game, complete with Argyle sweater vest, yellow shirt, orange slacks, and black gloves. There's also a mask, just in case your child can't grow a mustache yet. Ash Ketchum. In fairness, your child probably hasn't got facial hair stage yet, so a stage we think your gaming offspring could well have reached, though, is one where they're fully intent on catching them all. Yes, kids of all ages love Pokemon, and to be fair, we really can't blame them. Heck, the franchise has been around for so long now, we think there's gonna be kids that got into Nintendo's franchise back in the 90s who are parents themselves now. Anyway, what this all means is there's a heck of a lot of youngsters who are into Pokemon. Let's face it, kids with Nintendo 3DSs who spend a lot of time playing Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon haven't stopped playing it. Also, this year's Halloween comes in the run-up to Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee on the Nintendo Switch. We're certain kids are excited about this because we sure are. We can't wait to see how it plays on the Switch, and if your child is a Poke fan, we have a costume for you. It's everyone's favorite Pokemon trainer, Ash. There's the iconic shorts, sneakers, stripy top, and even his trademark peaked cap. Great stuff, and it can be reused too. SpiderMan. Talking of things being used in more than one way, it might be time to talk about the power of franchises in entertainment. The world of video games has seen crossovers with movies, comic books, and TV shows pretty much ever since they became a thing in the late 70s. Now, while E.T. the Extraterrestrial's appearance on the Atari is probably best forgotten, whether or not it was the game which killed the system is a whole other discussion. There have been some well-loved, well-played, and well-made games which took influence from the world of the big screen. In the run-up to Halloween 2018, there was one game which came from outside video games and had loads of people, young and old, incredibly excited. The game was, of course, Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4. Sony's flagship console crossed over with Peter Parker and his world of web slinging, and it was absolutely glorious. We loved both the way the game looked and the way the game played, not to mention all the hidden jokes, references, and Easter eggs in the world of Stan Lee's most famous creation. So it's only fitting to include the rather wonderful Spider-Man in our kids' Halloween costumes. This one does what it says on the tin, but we still reckon it works. Toad. Talking of things which work, we want to take a little bit of time to talk about one of our favorite, if often overlooked characters in one of gaming's biggest franchises. Toad is the mainstay of the Mario series who doesn't get talked about. Sure, you'll hear all about Princess Peach or Bowser or even Wario, but there's not much on Toad, and we think it's a shame. We aren't sure why either. He's played a key role in so many of Nintendo's flagship games. It was his role as a mushroom retainer in the first Super Mario's game, where he delivered the game's key line, the one about the princesses being in another castle, something like that. In the Western version of Super Mario's 2, he became a playable character, as well as getting his name, as was your go-to guy for feats of strength, even when his little legs meant he weren't very good at jumping. He's appeared in other games, of course, and it's a surprisingly good choice if you're playing Mario Kart. We love Toad, and we hope you do too. If your kids are fond of him, then we have a Halloween treat for them. Yes, they can go out trick-or-treating dressed as Toad. Check out this guy's tunic and mushroomed headdress. Kinda essential. Looking good, Toad. Red. Angry Birds. Speaking of things which are essential, we put Angry Birds on the list. Well, okay, it's not essential in the way of food, water, and oxygen are, but in the world of mobile gaming, Angry Birds is something you really should play. Mobile gaming as a whole has revolutionized the world of video games and has helped people take their first steps into our world. One of us, one of us. If you're anyone who falls into that category, hello, it's good to see ya. We're a welcoming group. Anyway, in case you don't know about it, we'll tell you a bit about Angry Birds. It's a classic example of what can be described as a physics game, which sounds really complicated, but actually isn't. The premise is there are some pigs, and the pigs have stolen the birds' eggs. This makes the birds angry, which is why the game isn't called Chilled Out or Relaxed Birds, and they swear to take revenge on the pigs by launching into them, smashing into them, and taking back their eggs. The game has been around for a while, and it's spawned a series as it's popular as ever. This got us thinking about how cool a kid's Angry Birds Halloween costume would be. Want to know more because it's here? We love it. It's big, it's fluffy, it's red, and it's right for the Angry Birds loving kid. PacMan. From a newer style of video game to one of the old classics, when games were first a thing, there wasn't as much technology around, so from today's viewpoint, the graphics of the early games can seem a little bit antiquated. In fact, when you look at Pong, there aren't any characters, and even the aliens and Space Invaders look a little boring and simplistic, no matter how iconic they are. When it comes to creating a video game character people would most associate with the brand, one of the first, if not the first characters to make it into the public consciousness was PacMan. PacMan was the little yellow guy who changed the face of gaming forever. After PacMan, there was a whole new world of gaming potential. Running around eating power pellets and cherries while trying to avoid Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde, this changed it all. Nearly 40 years on, he's shown no sign of stopping, and is still very popular with mobile ports and TV shows dedicated to him. Your kid can nab some power pellets of their own when they go trick-or-treating with this awesome yellow Pac-Man costume, which is well worth a try. Make sure you make the sound effect. Wow, wow, wow. Samus. Back in the day, video games were seen as being mostly a thing for boys. We aren't sure why people thought they were, but people did. It's a stereotype, and like most stereotypes, it's kind of dangerous. There's no reason at all why women and girls can't play video games, for instance. What this stereotype did in the world of gaming was make women in games passive characters who, more often than not, needed to be rescued by the male main character. Long before Lara Croft and the Tomb Raider franchise turned up. What up, Lara? There was one female video game character who went out there, took a stand, and kicked some alien butt. Samus Aran from Nintendo's Metroid series of games was a role model to girls way back in the 80s, and with the upcoming release of Metroid Prime 4 for the Switch imminent, she's set to get a lot of young women to play with a main character they can relate to. So with that in mind, why not get your gaming girl an awesome Samus Aran costume to go trick-or-treating in? You could always get her this one, which we're really into. It's sleek, it's chic, and it's blue. While it doesn't have a helmet, there's no question as to who your child is meant to be. Five Nights at Freddy's. Halloween is a time for people to dress up as scary things and go trick-or-treating. This is known. Now, the chances are, if you've got kids, they'll go trick-or-treating with their friends, and while they'll want to look scary, they might end up looking a bit incongruous. One child will be doing one thing, another will be doing another thing, and so on. What you ideally want, at least from an aesthetic point of view, is for them all to look like they're together and not a random group of young people who've decided there's safety in numbers. So what to do? Well, one thing you could do is make sure your group of kids look like they're an actual group by getting them to dress up like a group. If they're into video games, there's one cool solution. Take a look at this collection of Five Nights at Freddy's costumes. It's perfect for being a bit spooky at Halloween. Think about it. You've got a game and a myriad of sequels, which are famous for being seriously spooky experiences. Those animatronic creatures were always scaring people and causing one heck of a lot of havoc. We love these costumes, and we reckon your kids will too. People won't be sure where they're gonna run to. Sonic. While we're on the subject of things which run, we have to give a shout out to probably the fastest character in video games. Give a big hand, please, ladies and gentlemen, to Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh yeah, this spiky blue fellow was Sega's best answer to the questions posed by Mario. Now, we're not talking about questions like, how do you get from Mushroom Kingdom to Brooklyn, or what's the deal with the whole dinosaur land thing? Now, we're talking about how you cope with the most iconic video games character of all time in the absolute form of his life. Sure, Alex Kidd was okay, but he was no match for the powerhouse plumber, so it was Sonic who stepped into the breach, and all things considered, he did pretty well for himself. Battling Dr. Robotnik, who later became known as Dr. Eggman, Sonic used his speed to gather up rings and free the animals in a succession of games. Sega's consoles are no more, but Sonic is still going strong. If your child is a fan of the Hedgehog with attitude, then we've got the costume for you. We like how it's got the spikes as well as Sonic's belly. Sadly, there aren't any rings with it, but your Hedgehog can collect them, or candy, this Halloween. Mario riding Yoshi. If we're doing a list of video game characters for your kids to dress up as this Halloween, it would be wrong to leave out the biggest character of them all. We're of course talking about Mario. In fact, we're gonna go all out and go for Mario in what potentially just might be his most iconic moment of the many iconic moments Nintendo's flagship character has given us. Check out this costume. Yeah, you saw it right. Your child can dress up as Mario riding Yoshi, just like he did in Super Mario World. We don't think Mario has ever been cooler than when he got on his green dinosaur buddy and rescued Princess Toadstool, as she was still called back then, from Bowser. Guess the pesky Koopa King couldn't be interfered with their nice holiday in Dinosaur Land, right? Yoshi was a character years and years in the making. Shigeru Miyamoto, a fan of the Western film genre, always wanted Mario to be a cowboy riding a horse, but it wasn't until the 16-bit era when he was finally able to make his vision sort of a reality. Whatever the species though, we love the character, and we love the costume. The best thing about it, it also comes in adult sizes. It's me, a Mario, trick or treat, ahoo! Those are some epic costumes that any kid could use this Halloween. That said, we wondered what your favorite costume was. Did we leave any good ones out? Let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to The Gamer for more Halloween videos like this one. I've got nightmares already. Thanks for watching.